Thank you. Well, the most dangerous thing for an academic is to have an article quoted. Back to you. That's the dangers of writing. Fortunately, I think it's okay in this regard. In general, I believe that from what I know and understand, the government has done an effective job in rural infrastructure investment, and has done and that is the reason why hardcore poverty is basically on the way out in this country. But I think that, as I was trying to suggest, Malaysia will need new strategies going forward. They won't involve so much the question of hardcore poverty, but of regional development, finding effective avenues for all geographic regions of this country to share in the prosperity. And that is a lot of the public investment for the corridors that this government is promoting. It's identifying opportunities, it's much more use of information technology, and it is local-based innovation systems, more universities and research devoted to local innovation potential. So I'm sure that there is waste and loss in lots of projects. That's bound to be the case. But on the whole, I think that that's not the general defining element of what's occurred here. And the results, I think, are plain to see. But this economy is making a transformation in structure, and it will need to move in its technology and its strategy as that structure changes.
Thank you, Professor Jeffrey, for a very illuminating speech. Ahmed Hariri, Islamic Development Bank. On your last point, the outreach, you are very right. It's a very promising way to outreach the success story of Malaysia, and we are very proud to say that we are working very closely with the Malaysian government on the Prime Minister's initiatives called Capacity Building for the OIC, and we are working now with FELDA in Sierra Leone to replicate this experience, and we hope to expand on this pilot effort to other countries. But what is needed also is the role of the private sector to take on, and that's what the Prime Minister is also driving. My question also on the poverty alleviation. As you're aware, we have set up the Poverty Alleviation Fund, $10 billion fund. So the question, can the Malaysian experience, we know that one size does not fit all, but what are the basic elements that can be replicated or shared with other countries? Thank you.
That is the $10 billion of the Islamic Development Bank you're referring to, yes. Yeah, the Islamic Development Bank has established a $10 billion fund for poverty alleviation to promote the Millennium Development Goals. And this does seem to me ideal from the point of view of Malaysia's increased activities in West Africa, for example. I've been speaking to the IDB precisely about this kind of community-based development, and I know they're very, very interested. What we've been doing in our own work at the United Nations in my capacity as an advisor to Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is working with impoverished communities to invest in basic infrastructure, in schools, clinics, electricity, roads, malaria control, which is, of course, a huge issue in Africa, and agricultural renovation. Now, we've been doing that in a number of countries with some success, but I have to say FELDA was a great eye-opener for me of a dramatic success story that's been doing it for a long time here, and I think that there's a great deal that can be added to the concepts that my own team has been trying to promote. Since I was in West Africa, we had a lot of talk about palm oil there, just by coincidence. It wasn't only in preparation for my lunch talk today. They really asked me, how do we get the palm oil sector going again? What should we do? You know, they probably have not improved the clonal varieties for decades, in fact. There's been so much unrest, so little agricultural research, that it's both the varieties, the methods of management, but also the community strategies that FELDA has pioneered that I think can play a huge role. So I hope that Malaysia, as a leader of OIC, can work together with the Islamic Development Bank and with these countries in West Africa to try to get more projects going. I was delighted to hear that Sierra Leone is already a target of such a project. I think more can and should be done. I can tell you from my vantage point as Special Advisor to the Secretary General, I said to the Prime Minister yesterday, anything that I can do in my capacity to ensure that the United Nations can be an effective partner to you, and in our own work with the national leaders of these governments to make sure they understand how wonderful it will be to have Malaysia involved. I'm completely committed to trying to make that work and make that as effective as possible. Let me say, in the interests of lunch and your patience and kindness, thank you very much.